Alright, back again with the Onan powered Gravely 430. We have changed out the original GM 4-pin HEI module with the Chrysler solid state ignition module. Now, I got real lucky with this project. We had an existing square of aluminum, real easy to drill into, real good for drilling multiple holes in and customizing and mounting equipment to it. We were able to put the ignition solenoid on the engine side. We were able to use the existing leads from the 2-wire Hall effect sensor switch, plug right into the terminals on the ignition module, and then wired it up the rest of the way per the instructions on Brian Miller's website. Before I get much further with this, I do need to give a shout out to Ralph, RW3 Dog. Watched just about all your videos through the years on stuff, and the one video that you did about changing from the HEI ignition to the Chrysler ignition module is what finally pushed me to try that on this tractor, hoping that it would correct the issue that we were having with the spark saturation and not being able to rev the tractor up. In fact, every indication so far is that we've finally fixed this and got it running the way it should be. So, to recap on Brian Miller's instructions for mounting these the Chrysler HEI modules, they do need a ballast resistor. This is just an off-the-shelf item from Advance Auto. I'll show you guys the boxes with the part numbers before the video ends here. I just walked into Advance Auto and told them I needed a ballast resistor for automotive purposes, and the guy came back with this one out of the shelf. This keeps the ignition module from getting too much current to it and potentially burning up. It's just wired in line with the positive side of the coil where the module is fed its power to do its thing. The negative side goes from the terminal on the ignition module here, the negative side of the coil, and everything is just fed from the existing wire that runs to the front of the tractor to the key switch. Now, the one thing to remember with this, which has also been said in one of Ralph's videos, is these were all initially magneto type solid state ignition systems on the Onan and then on the Kohler that did not have a traditional points and condenser coil style ignition. They also had their own little module that sometimes would go bad, but my experience is they've been a lot more robust and continue even after almost 50 years here to stay in good working order and much less likely to go bad than these Onan units. The key switch, so what you can do to modify that to work with a 12-volt coil system, instead of running an entire new wire, find your existing kill switch wire, which ran from the ground terminal on your ignition switch, or the M terminal. I think most of these it was off the M terminal. It came back and would ground out the previously installed magnetos whenever you would turn the key off. All you need to do to reassign them to this application here is snip it, put a terminal on it on this end to get it to the positive side of the coil, go to the front of the tractor and identify it with your meter to make sure you have the right wire for continuity, snip it off an inch or two back from where it went into the ignition module, and you can either use a quick connector or be a little more fancy if that's your style. Find the headlight wire that comes out of the auxiliary terminal on the key switch and goes to the headlights. If you just quick connect into that, then you're going to have a key on, key off 12-volt power source that will power up your coil and then ground out the power to it when you turn the key off. I don't really see a need to run an entire new wire unless you have a mouse nest of wiring in your tractor, which a lot of these, that's how you get them from the previous owner. So that's just an easy way to go from a ground out magneto type key switch to a 12 volt positive key switch without having to buy a whole new key ignition assembly to install on the tractor. So ignition switch for the tractor. So just a review of the entire setup here, and again, this was all done already prior to buying the tractor, so I don't know if the guy custom made this stuff or if it was bought from a kit or not, but we have a 2-wire Hall effect sensor here. I took this off during my troubleshooting. Unfortunately, there was no part number on this to share. I don't know if it's a crank position sensor or an ABS sensor, but it's just a simple 2-wire tied in. I thought this was a ballast resistor that I could have used for this project. I don't know what this is. It goes down into the wiring harness for the stator. I'm just going to leave it alone. Like I said, I already showed the ballast resistor that we bought off the shelf there for a couple bucks from Advance Auto to make this project work. So your 2 leads go into the A and B terminal here on the module. I think C terminal gets the power and D gets the ground, and that's it. It's said to mount these in a cool place. I got it right here in front of the engine. It is going to get air movement from the flywheel blowing the air over the shroud. We'll see how it does after a couple hours of use as to whether there's any sign that the module's gotten too hot or the spark's starting to degrade or anything else. These connectors here are just push-ons that you can buy in mini packs. Initially they were too big. I had to give them a little bit of a squeeze, make them a little oval with the crimping tool, but everything so far indicates it looks like they're going to be okay. We'll check them after a couple hours use again, see how they're holding up, if anybody got loose. So far it looks good, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to work just as it should. Prior video we had showed the weak spark on the spark tester and how as soon as I touched the test light lead to the spark plug tester to try and borrow some of the spark current to run the test light, the tractor fell flat on its face. It's got a nice hot spark now all the way through. We'll start it up here and show you that she revs up and appears to be running real good right now. What a difference. What a difference. I almost wonder if it's too strong. Hopefully we don't burn this module out, but nothing here was expensive. The module, if you're patient, you can order one off Rock Auto or eBay or whatever your favorite supplier is there for probably less than 30 bucks shipped. I paid a little more for this one from Napa because I wanted it right away. As I said, the ballast resistor was maybe 6 or 7 bucks. This is what I got from Advance Auto for a ballast resistor. BWD, whatever. This is the Napa Echelon module, TP51. Like I said, just about any of them should have this. These modules were so common for 2 decades. They're everywhere. You probably go to one of the pick and pull junkyards and find any older Chrysler and go pull one off that. They're probably just fine to use. The rest of it was just wiring and terminal ends to complete the project. And like I said, I'm just tickled that this appears to have fixed it. We're going to go ahead and put everything back together, put the tins back on. I'm going to try and put the original carburetor back on for authentic purposes. We're going to go over the rest of the tractor as far as greasing it, pull the mower deck, check all the bearings, check the gearbox. All the gears seem to work so far. Mower deck does engage and spin. Shipper shaft appears to be in nice shape. Engages in and out easy. The lights worked. A couple tires replaced over the years, but other than that, this thing seems like it's in excellent shape. Even still has the original seat on it. And I'm real anxious to mow with this. So we will maybe do a fourth video here once we get everything cleaned up. Gonna get these wheels flipped and staggered out like they should be on a 50-inch deck. Somebody made some kind of repair here with this runner. I don't think I'm gonna get wheel clearance right now, so I think we'll just take this right off for the time being until I can cut this and bend it around. It really doesn't need to be back here. There's nothing to guard with this wheel and caster back here to support the deck, but we'll bend it and cut it, tie it off on this frame in there so we can get the wheels flipped for the 50-inch deck. So I hope this helps everybody. Reach out to us in the comments if there's any questions. Again, Brian Miller, your website is fantastic. He's even got a part on that Ignition Solutions page that lists all the different manufacturers of that ignition module and what their part numbers were at the time. And again, just a great source of information. Ralph, RW3 Dog, do great work with your Graveleys. Hope to talk to you sometime. We can chit chat about ones we've saved and ones we weren't able to. Can't save them all, but this one definitely will live on.